Project Virtual Reality. Hi, my name is Marianne Hanover. I am a pediatric physical therapist with 21 years of clinical practice experience, and currently I teach here at the university in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program. I am here today to champion an answer to a problem that I have witnessed firsthand in clinical practice and now as an instructor. By the end of this presentation, you will have a solution to this problem. Empathy is declining in higher education, yet studies show that empathy improves patient compliance, satisfaction, and outcomes. So why is it so difficult for students to show empathy towards their patients these days? Research has shown that students can feel overwhelmed by information. They fear those risky personal connections, and it could be a coping strategy for burnout. Empathy is also very difficult to define. So what is empathy? Empathy is the understanding and communication of a patient's experience. Where then is the disconnect? Despite its perceived importance in clinical practice, minimal formal training is provided in school, and our students are just not acquiring these empathetic skills. Is there a solution to this problem? My answer to you is yes. It is virtual reality. Let me tell you about it. As we begin this process of decision-making, it is important to look back at how virtual reality has evolved. The use of virtual reality as a teaching tool in the medical field was introduced in 1992 when the first ever Medicine Meets Virtual Reality conference was described by Dutton. Dutton published information on the topics discussed at the conference. The article described how patients with spinal cord injuries or traumatic brain injuries use virtual reality to practice their motor skills by manipulating objects. This information represents the start of the knowledge stage described in Rogers' innovation decision process. At the 2008 Virtual Reality Conference, Johnson and Locke described how virtual reality could provide a virtual human experience. At this persuasion stage of the innovation decision process, there was an attitude change on educators to determine if the technology was credible and worth the cost. Johnson and Locke noted significant differences in the students' perception of their own empathy, but they questioned if it justified the added infrastructure and price of the immersive displays. By 2009, researchers and educators entered the decision stage, and it appears that virtual reality was adopted. Researchers at the Second International Conference on Computer Control and Communication were starting to consider virtual reality as a critical component of education for the next generation. From this point on, VR technology was put into practice. Evidence of this transition to the implementation phase can be seen in the Fifth International Conference on Computations, Intelligence, and Applications, where Liu compiled 190 articles to write a position paper describing how to apply virtual reality to develop empathy in students. The author explained that this essay could serve as an essential reference for using VR technology in multiple fields. Understanding how the technology is to be used, what problems might the users encounter, and what solutions have been devised to address these problems is vital information to discover during implementation. Organizations need this information to inform stakeholders on the feasibility and applicability of the technology. The fifth and final stage of Rogers' innovation decision process is the confirmation stage. At this stage, evaluation of the technology is necessary, and the innovation is adopted or rejected based on at least a relative advantage brought forth using the innovation. So where are we today? I believe we are still in the stage of implementation, but about to embark on confirmation of this technology. At the 2021 Conference on Virtual Reality and 3D User Interfaces Abstracts and Workshops, research was presented on the use of virtual reality-based simulation training for just this problem. Researchers presented on using virtual reality-based simulation to simulate activities of daily living for patients with Parkinson's disease. Here I have provided you with a link to the software program that the researchers used with students to improve their empathy with this particular group of patients. Another recent research study published in the Journal of the Medical Library Association and created by Embodied Labs, an organization dedicated to creating trainings related to aging services, developed virtual reality software to simulate age-related diseases. The software offered university students an immersive experience, increasing their empathy. Based on these studies, it is clear that virtual reality is beneficial, but it is still being developed to address this issue, indicating that the innovation is in the stage of implementation. We here at the university can be on the cutting edge of worldwide implementation, guiding its use in education and providing research on how it can be used to improve student performance. Now, using virtual reality does have a few downsides. Some users may experience nausea and dizziness, and its use is recommended to be limited to 10 minutes. Also, developing programs that improve the interaction with the objects, providing more separation of the tasks, and offering different levels within the simulation have been recommended by leading experts. Finally, researchers have run into problems maintaining the cleanliness of the equipment when multiple students are involved, and they highly recommend that the equipment be housed in a secure space with staff versed in technology available to troubleshoot the problems. So let me answer some of the questions you may have related to these already established concerns. The product can be housed in the Center for Innovative Clinical Practice, the CICP, which is already on the campus of the university, and could potentially be placed in all 5 CICP labs on the campuses of the affiliated universities. The CICP would be in charge of maintaining the devices and updating software as needed. Secondly, in order to begin this program, it will be necessary to purchase virtual reality kits that include Alienware laptops, Oculus Rift headsets and sensors, and the Leap Motion hand tracking devices with long USB cables. These more costly, higher-tech devices could be paired with devices more readily available. Project Empathy offers an example of how low-tech devices could also be used to teach empathy, where the users purchase Google Cardboard. Cardboard is a simple viewer made of cardboard that wraps around a mobile phone. Although this option doesn't allow for feeling and manipulating objects, it could offer some introductory practice experiences with an immersive feel and be used in conjunction with the higher tech options. Both high-tech and low-tech virtual reality options could be purchased by the university to cover the large class sizes while keeping costs low. These issues are minor, however, in comparison to the need. As instructors, we see how soft skills separate students who pass their internships and those who do not. So it is important that we pursue every avenue to meet these important healthcare needs for the benefit of our students. VR also fits into the university's mission, which is the development of professional healthcare practitioners through innovative, individualized, and quality classroom, clinical, and distance education. The university also recently received B Corp certification, which formalizes its commitment to sustainability and social responsibility. This certification implies we are putting the good of our employees and local community ahead of profit. We are essentially committing to the stakeholders we will use our platform for good. As you can see, virtual reality for the teaching of empathy in our students is an avenue that embodies these missions and can lead to real social change. So how do we communicate the importance of this technology to our staff? The development of interpersonal networks is expected to be the most important communication channel to adopt this innovation. Direct relationships and developing a rapport with people before asking them to adopt an innovation is an important part of interpersonal networking. Mass media is not expected to be an important channel for communication because educators may not see how a source outside their work system will translate to the classroom. Elshavan and Egbert in 2018 explained that teachers learn what they think they need to know. This thought process may force the change agent to begin with the persuasion phase, so the potential adopter understands why first and then moves to the knowledge stage for the what. It is essential to understand the ideal types that make up each adopter category. As an early adopter of virtual reality, it is important to identify and convince other key innovators and early adopters within the organization to help me. Potential early adopters in the university are the team that leads innovative clinical practice. This team of professionals is charged with searching out new and helpful technologies and have the historical and current knowledge to help answer potential drawbacks of a new idea and how to overcome them. There are also 2 instructors, one in the occupational therapy program and the other in the physical therapy program, that hold leadership positions and who many look to for advice and information. The primary strategy to persuade these leaders and potential early adopters is to sit down with these people and have a personal conversation about the positive potential of virtual reality. Additionally, providing this group with an in-service about the technology so they can try the technology and discuss its potential uses would be offered. Laggards are the last to adopt and make decisions based on historical knowledge of a program and have a tendency to be suspicious of innovations. The group of people closest to fitting the description of a laggard at this university are our more seasoned faculty and administrators who must justify the budget. Faculty that have witnessed the rise and decline of numerous technological innovations over their years of teaching are more skeptical of change based on their historical perspectives. The likelihood of this group adopting the innovation relies on the early adopters offering concrete evidence of the innovation's worth. In this case, they would most likely need proof that students show more empathy for patients after using virtual reality. A strategy to help move this group towards adoption is to trial the technology with the early adopters and present feedback to the laggards. It is crucial that answers to anticipated questions from the laggards to the problems associated with the technology be prepared ahead of time. Offering personalized help with trialing the technology within established meeting times is also expected to be helpful to this group. Convincing administrators in charge of the budgets towards adoption will require a strategy that addresses budgetary concerns and capitalizes on their B Corp certification status. It is important to remind these entities that this innovation has many potential benefits to society and aligns with their commitment to putting the good of its employees and the local community ahead of profit. So what adoption approach is best to use in this project? I suggest using a decentralized approach for the adoption of virtual reality. The decentralized diffusion system allows our faculty to experiment with the innovation using a problem-centered approach, which meets their individual needs and more specifically will enable the university to adapt hardware and software to the healthcare situations that the students are expected to experience. This system would allow diffusion across the university regardless of the course content, where the software programs could be student and content specific. Adoption is expected to be faster and more widespread when peers can experiment with the innovation to meet their needs. The potential users will feel that they have some power in the decision-making process and can seek out information to successfully implement the innovation in their area of expertise. As the championing change agent, I will play a number of roles. First, I will address the problem with the university in local and university-wide meetings, highlighting the need for a process to address the lack of empathy in our students, explaining how important it is to find a method of improving this vital soft skill. Second, I will forge relationships with others that share the same interests to improve empathy in our students. I will listen to the issues they express, indicating my openness to their opinion, and Second, I will forge relationships with others that share the same interests to improve empathy in our students. I will listen to the issues they express, indicating my openness to their opinion and establishing trust and transparency in the process. A third role is to investigate how these issues have historically been addressed. This plan will show laggards, for example, that I am aware of past attempts and problems. The laggards need to know that existing alternatives have been thoroughly vetted before adopting a new and potentially more costly innovation. Once the pros and cons of the current options have been addressed, it is helpful to motivate all potential adopters through discussions about the possibility of a better alternative. It is crucial to target the early adopters who have a leadership role and whose opinions on technology are valued. Once these early adopters have begun to use the technology, I will assist them in maintaining the technology's usage, which takes encouragement and helps with implementation, especially as problems arise. Finally, it is my role as the change agent to empower the adopters to continue developing other adopters so they are now self-reliant and will continue the diffusion process. Achieving critical mass is the goal of this diffusion project. Critical mass is when enough people have adopted the innovation that further diffusion means the average individual finds it useful and it becomes self-sustaining. The primary strategy I recommend the board use to achieve critical mass is to target highly respected and innovative individuals, enlisting their help to use the technology and then presenting their testimony on its benefits to the rest of the staff during staff meetings is expected to produce the best rate of adoption. To achieve critical mass using virtual reality for learning empathy, all of the potential adopters must find it valuable and cost-effective. Perceived value in this project can be achieved through continued formal and informal research within the university, employers, and clinical internship instructors. Don't let this opportunity to be leaders in our community and society pass us by. Let's send our students out with the skills to bring humanity back to healthcare.